So hello there and welcome to the Rocking the Journey podcast. I'm Debbie Binner, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of movement in your 40s, 50s and beyond. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by Camilla Lister. She's a personal trainer at Camilla Lister Fitness. Hi Camilla.
Hello, hi there, lovely to meet you.
So lovely to meet you as well. Now, we've got loads to talk about because, as we were just saying before we came on, of the issue of when women kind of really past 40 start to think about fitness and go to which I did. I'm 57, but went to a personal trainer recently. I didn't feel that they did have that kind of understanding of what I should be doing at my age. So lots to talk about there.
Yeah, and I said back to you, so I have literally in the last 2 weeks found myself a personal trainer because I'm lacking motivation. It's hard. No gym, no tennis to play. And I really struggle to find someone who is my age. I'm 54. And knowing what I know, it's so important to find someone who has experience of someone who's menopausal, older adult or something, and is just a little bit more careful, because you just never know. These young lads, I see them on the common, and they look like they're really good trainers and they know what they're doing, but it's a whole different ball game. And I can remember 5 years ago feeling a completely different person, and I would be looking for a completely different trainer then. But now, no, it's a whole other ball game, and I've lived it, so I know how important it is. Yeah.
So Camilla, I find it so interesting that you are a personal trainer who specialises in women our age, on both sides of our age as well. But you would still look for somebody who understood kind of how bodies move as they get older to train you.
Yeah. So I say it's really, for me, motivation. And I mean, I think motivation is it for me. Like, I might be quite happy to do 15 minutes at home, and then I think, oh, actually, I've got this to do, and I'll just, right, I've done a set, fine. But actually, it's not enough. I need someone to push me to that second, that third set to really get the strength gains. And mentally, I'm not great training outdoors. I hate the cold. I work outdoors. What am I doing? But my gym's closed. So do you know what? I thought a bit of time for me. I have found a gentleman, and we've had one session, and we'll see how it goes from there. But strength training also. What the other important thing to say is strength training at our age is so important.
Right.
And I just have to do one session, and I feel a different person today. Everything feels tighter, and I feel kind of more in control. I have a bad shoulder. It's not painful today. I mean, it is that recuperative exercise for me. Yeah, so important.
So it's because I want to get onto strength, and I want to get onto shoulders, because I think shoulders is a real issue at the moment. So just before I came onto you, I asked some girlfriends and said, okay, so I've got this trainer who's specialised in women our age. What do you want to know? And I'm so ashamed to say they've let us down. They said weight loss. That's all they're interested in, weight loss.
Weight loss. I know. Oh, but you know what? That is one of the toughest things we face, isn't it, at this age? It's just, and what people often don't kind of cotton on to is actually, as you get older, you move less. And as we move less, we are more inclined to move in even more less. That's not a proper sentence, it'll do. And it's like, because actually the less you move at this age, then you just get a little bit stiffer, or you just feel less motivation. We'll come back to motivation, actually. So there are a number of things at play that mean that you start to put on the pounds. Lack of estrogen, clearly we know that estrogen declines.
The body weight on around here, around the
it tends to mean that the weight tends to sit more around the belly, and it's very hard to shift. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, we're used to
dogs.
Yeah, they're always barking.
So annoying. And then so movement, but keeping moving, and not sitting down at your desk all day. Just standing up and moving around becomes really important. Yeah.
So is that right? We actually just move less.
Generally, combination of estrogen, lack of estrogen, moving less, and possibly eating more. Absolutely, because we crave a sweeter tooth. So,
Yeah.
difficult.
So weight loss, weight has been an issue for me. I spent all my life up until 50 being a little
Yeah.
bit too thin, and
Yeah.
thought I was going to be kind of sail into old age, and
Yeah.
get to eat
Yeah.
exactly what I want. And it was a horror. Kind of
Yeah.
51. It's
Yeah.
just that I couldn't drop my trousers and have had a
Oh,
bath all
wow.
day.
Yeah.
So I started running,
Yeah.
and as you know, I'm a yoga teacher, very
Yes.
kind of dance and yoga, that kind of thing. But read I should be doing running. So started running, hated
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
gave up.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what's your advice? Should I be doing it?
Well, absolutely, you should be doing it. So, is it all right if I just stop the dog a second?
Yeah, no, please
Could I
stop.
do it? Because he's going to go on and on because he's seen a squirrel in the garden.
Maybe you can join us.
I'm so sorry. You are annoying little rat bag. You weren't doing this an hour ago.
Always typical, isn't it?
I know. I'm going to put him outside and stay out. Go on, off you go. Right, I'm still here. I can still hear
Don't worry,
you.
that's fine.
There. Right. So, should you be running?
Yeah,
Definitely.
should we be running?
Absolutely. So, what the great thing about running is brilliant for heart health.
Right.
Brilliant for heart health, gets you outdoors, it gives you good endorphins, and so keeps you fit and also burns calories. So absolutely helping to keep weight off or keep weight stable. You need to support it though, I think, with some kind of, I mean, you're a yoga teacher, but some kind of strength training. And that's the one thing that people think, oh, it's fine. I'm running every day, so I don't really have a problem with things like osteopenia, osteoporosis. But actually, research has shown that you need to do some kind of proper resistance training. And it's actually the agitation, and it's a very specific way that the resistance force on the muscles affects bone growth. That means that resistance training is more valuable than just running, and in fact yoga as well. So sometimes static yoga holds, people think, well, actually that's really good for prevention of osteoporosis, but actually proper lifting heavy weights or heavy-ish weights it has been proven to be better for you. So I would say a combination of running with some kind of resistance training would be invaluable, because bone density and declining bone density is really one of the key factors that we're facing as we get older. It's a real game changer. If you have declining bone density, and you fall over, you break a bone, then you're sedentary, you can't move, you put on weight. If you're obese already or very overweight already, you're in a real sticky situation. Potentially that begins to takes you down the diabetes route, type 2 diabetes. I mean, if you're over the age of 75 and you break a bone, you're in big trouble. Sometimes they say,
so
it can
really,
be really
important at this age that that bone health is so important.
Really important.
Yoga, we do lots and lots of resistance work because and I think there is some research to say you can actually build the bone. If you see tennis players when they play with one arm, that bone is bigger than the other arm. So
that's right, you can, but it has to be done in combination with nutrition. And so most people know that things like vitamin D, calcium, and a couple of other key minerals are really important because they help the bone to regenerate. But actually, you mustn't forget protein. So a lot of people forget that they need to be eating adequate amount of protein in conjunction with their resistance training plan. So when I say adequate amount, so actually 1.5 grams of protein.
So what would that be?
Well, 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So you'd be looking at something like, it's quite a lot actually, a large steak or something a day.
Right.
But you'd want lots of different types of proteins, ideally a mixture between meat and plant.
If you're a non-meat eater, you would have to kind of supplement that with pulses
a wide range of pulses and vegetables and stuff. But protein's really important because of course protein builds muscle. That's how muscle grows, of protein. And you can't, if you're strength training, you won't build muscle if you're not eating adequate protein. And
So,
also, if you,
sorry,
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, so that when I went to the gym,
Yeah,
did some kind of more resistance kind of work before lockdown, and they
yeah.
gave me these protein powders. Are they a
Oh, yeah.
good idea,
Yeah,
or?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Because actually, it's quite hard to get enough protein in. I often think, oh, how am I going to do that? But some protein powders, you have to be quite careful. Make sure you get a good quality protein. And it's not my area of expertise, but I know there are good qualities and bad qualities. Make
yeah,
sure you get a good one and do your homework. But yes, absolutely, good quick fix,
great. Okay,
definitely. Yeah.
so running good. So
Yes,
just
running
on
good.
technique of running, because
Mm.
and I'm quite fit. I do.
Yeah,
I've been a kind of lifelong mover, but
yeah, great.
after have 15 minutes of running, I'm absolutely shattered, and
Yeah,
it's so demotivating and don't seem to get any better. So
yeah.
any tips on that?
Oh, bless you. Well, so I wouldn't say don't go and find a running coach who says, "Oh, I'm going to fix your stride." It's too late. Fix your Get yourself a decent pair of shoes,
Right.
definitely, but
Yeah.
don't. It's too late to start fiddling around with your gait, so that's not really going to help you.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe somebody who's going to motivate you and give you a training program would help,
Mhm.
because there are different, there are different types of well, different running strides. So you can go very fast, you can go very slow, you can go, it's what's called a tempo run. And actually doing a combination of different types of runs can actually make you run faster, or doing
So would that mean that
sprints
you
or
walk
something
a
like that.
bit and then sprint? Walk,
Absolutely,
sprint.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you could incorporate, on one day you could just do a consistent type pace run for
Mhm.
5 kilometers, but then on another day, if you wanted to increase your running fitness or run faster, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, some kind of walk run, and where you're running faster and making your feet run at a faster pace,
Yeah.
because actually you get into quite a habit of running at the same pace,
Mhm.
but you need to train your muscles to go faster, and it's
Right.
just practice, really just
Okay.
practice. Yeah,
And so it isn't true that at this age we should be pulling back on exercise and maybe doing more gentle stuff.
yeah. um I would say it's down to each individual person, absolutely. I mean, um we do find that I find that quite a lot of people are susceptible to injuries or have tendon injuries, and that's very common in menopause, declining hormones and things like that. But actually, muscles and joints and bones, they need movement. It actually is what the body needs. It needs stress on its bones, and it needs movement to lubricate the joints.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say rein it in, but what I would say is, if you are exercising, is to make sure you increase the rest periods you build in.
Right.
So the older we get, the more time a muscle needs to regenerate.
Mhm.
And regeneration of a muscle means it gets stronger. So rather than saying, you could say, if you were going to lift weights on Monday, and then say Tuesday maybe, or Monday morning and Tuesday afternoon, you might want to say, well, actually, I'll lift weights on Monday morning and then Wednesday morning or something. So just leave a longer gap between your lifting weights. In terms of cardiovascular exercise, so running
Yeah.
or swimming or something like that, slightly different actually, because the muscle you're working is your heart muscle. I mean, clearly
Yeah.
you're using your whole body, but actually there are different ways you can rest while still exercising when you're doing running, for example. So for running, you could do a much slower run. So it's less stressful, less impactful on your joints. And it's less, if you're running at a lower heart rate, then
Yeah.
actually you're not overworking the heart. Whereas you might want to do a high intensity workout to teach yourself to go faster one day, and then the next day you could do a more recuperative run, and you're still getting the lovely endorphins and keeping fit and healthy. You just keep your heart rate a lot lower.
But you
And
could
there's
run every single day.
you,
That's fine.
yeah, absolutely. You could. I would probably give yourself again a day off to let the whole body just
Mm.
chill, and let the muscles that you've used recuperate. And there's a whole science around this, around running 5-6 days a week, and how you might change the type of run you do by day, or actually what kind of heart rate level you sit at and how that stresses the body. So and generally in an average week, you'd want to have 70 to 80% of your heart rate work at quite a low level, and then maybe 20% of the heart rate would be quite a high level. So there are different ways you can play it, but again, it's a very interesting area, but there are definitely ways you can make it work for you, but everyone is different. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and so when I was talking to some other friends, as I said before we came on, and another thing that some people said was, because they are not going to work and the gyms are shut, they're doing all these Zoom calls, they're sitting at their desk, they're saying their fitness levels just feel kind of through the floor, and it's almost that they don't know where to start again. Or some people who haven't done much exercise at all, what kind of advice would you give if they're at that stage?
That's really tricky, and there's one element, I'll come back to one element, which is actually when you're exhausted through menopausal symptoms and just can't cope, can't make yourself exercise. But really, but that's a whole other thing, I think. But in this instance, I would start by talking to someone, finding some kind of a friend or personal trainer. Absolutely, make sure you find the right one, or some kind of inspirational, but somebody who is real. So I'm not sure about doing some of these online programs. They work for some people. I'm not hugely motivated by Zoom training from somebody that you don't even talk to. So it's just it's a recorded
feed. You're moving. They can't see how you're moving. Body, your posture.
Yeah, I mean, for a straightforward cardio class where you're getting your heart rate up, absolutely, I think that's brilliant news, bang on. But if you want to do some kind of resistance training, you just need to be quite cautious. And I would try and find someone to work out with, a friend who also can motivate you, and maybe you're learning together. And there is a huge amount of advice online. Not all of it's great, but there are a lot of trusted websites that you could look to, national personal training websites and things like that provide great information. So I think there are ways, but you kind of have to plan it. Really, it needs a bit of planning.
But I
rather than
that message that it's not too late, and that any move, certainly from yoga, we always say, just whenever you want to start, it's never too late, just to get your body moving, because it's just so crucial for healthy aging.
Never too late. And you know what, it's never too late, or it's never too little. So 10 15 minutes in a day of going for what I call a heart pounding walk. Walking the dog, I don't think is good enough. It's not really good enough. You need to get your heart pounding in your chest, or lifting something that's quite heavy, so you feel quite taxed and out of breath. But 10 15 minutes of that a day is better than nothing. And once a week, better than nothing. Yes, it's a start. Actually, you know what? Cleaning the house for an hour. Wow.
Hoovering. That's right. Your heart starts going, doesn't it?
And it's really quite stressful on your arms and shoulders.
So strength. So the message, you get the heart going. Strength, really important.
Strength, very important.
Building bones, making sure we've got good bone health. And the other things that we were talking about, one was balance and coordination. And some research that this actually does get worse as we get older. And we know in later life, falling over is a problem. But how do we work now to make sure that we're kind of building up our balance and coordination?
So balance, there are a number of different things that can affect balance. One of them is lack of muscle strength, declining muscle strength, clearly. One of them is also, some of them are to do with olfactory and auditory nerve systems. So actually, if you're feeling a bit off balance, sometimes just going to see a GP and having your ears checked out in case you've got an infection or something, that's probably quite an extreme level. But really, for balance, you want to strengthen kind of all the little muscles in your hips and in your core. So strong core and hips, really important. So things like yoga, excellent for that. Pilates as well, another great thing that actually we haven't mentioned. Pilates, love Pilates. I hate it actually in equal measures, come to think of it, but it's a really invaluable for strengthening the core and those little
And also the
stabilizing muscles in
mind
the
is
hips.
part of that as well, because in yoga
Yeah.
we do loads and loads of balances, and
Yes.
this idea
Yeah.
about, the longer you can balance, the more healthy
Yeah.
your body is, and really
Yeah.
important for older life.
Yeah. I have
Mm.
to say, balances in yoga, God, they kill me. They are.
They are
It's
hard, aren't they?
I'm
I know they're
really hard.
hardcore. People don't realise.
Yes.
And
No.
actually
No.
holding poses is really,
Yeah.
can be really hard. And you can feel, if you have one of these apps on, you can feel if you hold some of the warrior poses, you can
Yes.
really see your heart start to really rise.
Yeah.
So you're working your heart, but
Yeah.
still, so you're not putting pressure on the joints.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. But yes, I
Yeah.
think it is just, again, it's all comes, for me, it comes back to some form of strength training,
Yeah.
taxing the muscle.
So
Yeah.
absolutely critical. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've done coordination, done strength, done balance.
Yeah.
Now, another issue that is kind of quite close to my heart, because one of my
Mm.
clients has this,
Yeah.
and she is quite a bit younger actually, and it is just a horrible issue for her.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. Lots of women don't like talking about it, quite understandably. But this
Yeah.
idea of urinary incontinence, which is
Yes.
like an issue that so many women suffer in silence from, because it's just
Yeah.
because of the embarrassment. And I
Yeah.
know
A
in
bit
yoga we
embarrassing.
do lots of work around the pelvic floor. So how
Yeah.
else would you
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. So there are several different forms of incontinence. So if we start with stress incontinence, so that tends to be when you might wee yourself when you're exercising, or you cough, or you sneeze, and that is usually because you have a weak pelvic floor. Not always. It could be because actually your pelvic floor is hypertonic, so quite too tight.
Right.
But generally, it's a weak pelvic floor, and usually comes off the back of postnatal, having a weak pelvic floor at the end of being pregnant. But actually, again, as we get older, as we go into our 40s and then into our 50s, our muscle tone and strength declines naturally. So
Yeah.
I always try to, whenever I meet women in their 40s, 50s, and say, right, we're going to strengthen muscles, and I want you to always remember that inside you, in your pelvis, you have got a really important muscle, and it needs exercising. So there are a lot of people say, oh, I've tried pelvic floor. There are ways to supercharge pelvic floor exercises. You need to incorporate deep breathing, and you need to make sure that you're lifting your pelvic floor all the way from the back, from your coccyx all the way around to the front, and build in appropriate breathing at the same time. So lifting the pelvic floor, and then a nice big exhale as you hold that pelvic floor.
Right.
So we're really supercharging the strength into the pelvic floor.
Yeah.
And there are numerous exercises. You don't have to lie down and do these. You can do them standing up, incorporate them into your daily, making a cup of tea or something, just,
The
lift it up.
supermarket.
Yeah, supermarket, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it may be that actually that you've tried that and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But there are some brilliant pelvic floor specialists out there who, and I know several people who've just been to see a specialist just for 1 hour or something, and they have taught them, retaught them, or educated them, because they might never have learned actually how to switch their pelvic floor on.
Right.
Highly likely, actually, especially if you haven't had children slip through that gap. And they will teach you how to fix it.
And that will have an impact. I guess it depends what the
Absolutely.
issue is, but is likely to make that incontinence better.
So very likely to help you with stress incontinence.
Yeah.
So the other type of incontinence is overactive bladder incontinence, and you tend to get this coming. You're more likely to have this towards the end of menopause, but a lot of people have it. And this is when you have urgent need to pee several times a day, or you get home to the front door like, oh my god, I need to go to the loo, and it can be and it's a real nightmare. So generally there are a number of reasons why this starts to happen. One of the things is actually your brain rewires itself. Can't explain that bit, but some people can. But rewires itself, and then you need to keep going. And there are a set of, or a way of doing exercises that you can do to help you through that and retrain your bladder. The other two things are being overweight.
Where would somebody find exercise if it was an issue for them? Where would they find exercises like that?
So you can find exercises online. So the NHS do have some exercises. So there's deep breathing, and there's also something called pelvic floor, they're quick flick pelvic floor exercises. So quick flick means quite switching your pelvic floor on and off quite quickly. But there is a protocol or a way of doing it. So I would definitely look it up. Google, great place, Google. Or go and see a pelvic floor specialist, because they're around.
And you would just Google that to find something like that. I didn't know something like that existed. But
pelvic floor or menopause specialists. They know all this stuff. But the other two reasons why people get this, so one of them is being overweight. So if you are obese, then you're putting more pressure down through your pelvic floor. And the other thing, actually, one of the important things is being constipated. So constipation, again, it can put a huge amount of pressure onto the bladder. And it has been shown that actually, if you can have put higher fiber into your diet, take more exercise, get things moving internally, you can actually, some people can quite easily fix that urging overactive bladder, urging incontinence quite,
and of course,
quite
just
easily.
Say, probably a good idea to check out with your GP first of all, check what it is, and then see which path to go down.
Of course. I mean, of course, it could be something else. It could be a urinary tract infection, or a blocked urethra. So there are lots of different reasons. But
to find out first, but then exercise could play a really important role. In all of this. So just moving on, we've been in lockdown. I feel like I've been on a Zoom call for kind of months and months and months.
Definitely.
And I've never had any, because of yoga, I swear by yoga, and I have a fractured spine, as I was telling you. I swear by yoga, have never had a back problem until lockdown. And my shoulders around here are just like really cramped up. And that seems so common. So could you just kind of demonstrate, because I think if there's one thing that, and again, the people I spoke to before all said, my shoulders, my neck, and we must be doing something really wrong here. But some exercise to maybe release this part of the body.
Sure. So one of the key factors which increases neck tightness, neck pain, and actually back pain as well, is actually because you're sitting at a desk like this. I'm not sitting at a desk clearly, but like this. So you've got this rounded shoulder effect, and it tightens the pec. There's a pec minor and pec major. The pec muscles, the chest muscles, they get overactive, really tight. So stretching these two muscles, really important. I'll show you. Let me see if I can lift this up. I'm going to show you how to stretch pec minor muscle. So here is corner of a room. If you get the flat of your arm there, and then take a step forward and look over the opposite shoulder, and you can see like that. That is instantly stretching my pec muscle, my pec minor.
And
how
long should you hold that for?
You need to hold it at least 30 seconds. I would say I would do this a couple of times a day, clearly on both sides, but a couple of times a day. And if you do that every day, then the chances are over time, takes a little time. If you imagine how long it's taken you to get into this problem, how long it takes to get out. The other thing is also strengthening your back muscles. So I mean, lifting weights, doing you probably need to look up some specialist exercises online, but equally if you had some kind of a stretchy band, don't have one to hand, but you could wrap a stretchy band round a banister, take hold of two ends and just pull it backwards like this. You're just working
right into there,
working round into the middle back. You don't want to work too much into the top of the back, but the middle back here. And then the other thing to help with the neck is the other thing we do when we're sitting at a desk is your chin comes forward. So this is creating something called forward head syndrome. Google it.
Because we do that in yoga, we push the head back into the hands a lot.
Excellent. So, and Google forward head syndrome. One of the exercises to counteract it is this is really unattractive. Push your double chin. Go on. The double chin move. So push the finger in.
Finger into the chin.
And create a massive, quadruple chin. And then relax. So you feel a tightening at the back here. So we're just going to, we're trying to lengthen at the back.
Pushing, getting the head back, isn't it? Getting the head back. And,
just
and yoga, say we put the hand at the back of the head and just
yes,
push the head back in.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you could do that, say 10 times at your desk, couple of times a day, or once a day, doesn't matter, once is enough, you know. And then building that stretch into the I mean, there are millions of other things. There aren't millions of other things. There are several other things.
This idea of preventative, and rather than waiting like I have done, waiting till I literally couldn't move my neck. So, and have really used lots of yoga, used lots of this pushing the head back, a lot of shoulder rolls like that to really ease, just starting to ease now.
It's generally moving around.
One question, Camilla, is it good to rest it a little bit? So if it's in the shoulder and it's hurting, should people rest a bit, or should they just always incorporate gentle movement?
Do you know what the body likes? I mean, we have to be quite careful. If it's a specific kind of pain that's quite ouchy, I would be, especially on the front of the shoulder here, I would be quite cautious. But if it hasn't come from some kind of specific injury, then the body loves load. The body likes to move and it likes to lift stuff. So I would move around and do some exercises. Get a couple of dumbbells, 1s, 2s, maybe some 3s, and do some exercises that you find online, or get your stretchy band. And you know, but so muscles like to be stressed. They respond really well to stress, actually, and more often than not, pains will go away. In fact, I think I mentioned to you earlier, just 1 day, 1 hour of weight training, and my body feels like a rejuvenated thing. Doesn't look like it, but but it feels like it the next day. Some of the ouchiness is gone. You know, it's amazing. Yeah.
You know, when I broke my back, and it was 25 years ago, and the advice then was to lay still. And fortunately, I went to see a physio who was quite an enlightened physio, and said, "Don't lay still, move, get it moving." And I think the advice now is very clearly that you need to get things moving as quickly as you possibly can. Get people up, and in any way they can move.
Yeah, that's you were lucky. That was quite forward thinking, I think, in those days, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. And that's when I started yoga, actually. It was, and from there, I'm sure it's from yoga and Pilates. So I'm a yoga girl. You kind of fall into two camps. But
yes, you do.
A lot of Pilates as well. It really helps building the core, keeping the spine flexible. So, Camilla, thank you. I'm sure you've got clients to go to now.
I've got 2 Zooms, not quite yet, but this evening. I know, back-to-back Zoom, here we come. But I'm lucky because at least I can go outdoors as well. So I'm doing a combination of the two.
It's great to get outdoors as well. But Camilla, thank you so much for your help today. And I'm sure we'll come back to you and do some more get some more kind of more issues that our audience has, and we can come back to you and put those to you. So
thank you so much.
Great with somebody who's specializing in fitness and health for this stage of life. Really great.
Lovely. It's been a real pleasure.
Have a great day.
So and you. Bye-bye.